Live on YouTube. I'm gonna be live on LinkedIn in a second. There we go. Live on LinkedIn in 4, 3, 2, 1.5, 1.75, 0.5, 0.25, 0.20, 0.15, 0.10, 0.05, 0.0025, and yeah, I'm live on LinkedIn. That's cool. That is cool. So let me just send a message to people on WhatsApp. There you go. Message to people on WhatsApp. 209th episode. 209. 209. 209. There goes the message to people on WhatsApp. There you go. Live on LinkedIn, live on YouTube, live on send the message to people on WhatsApp. And now we should begin. We should begin the show that we deserve, right? The show that we deserve. I guess it's time. It's time for the show of all shows. Right? I think it is. It is. Just 1 second, folks. Let me just figure this out. Why is this video inverted on YouTube? Okay. Yeah, mirror. Yeah, this is how it normally feels like. Done. Perfect. Let's begin, folks. I'm not sure if you can hear me, so I'll test myself on YouTube. It's good. On LinkedIn. Can't hear myself on LinkedIn. Just 1 second. Yeah, it should be good. Looks good. Perfect. Let us begin. The show that we deserve. The show of all shows. The show that makes everything worth it. The show that inspires us, informs us, sets us up for the week. The show that we've been waiting for. Let's begin. Bum bum bum. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Thinker's Frequency. We're having such a good time. This is the peak of human civilization. We're working so hard, doing such good work for ourselves, our parents, our kids, our siblings, our husbands, our wives, our friends, everybody. Well, not other people's husbands and wives, I hope. And just when we thought things couldn't get any better, like they couldn't possibly get any better, well, they just did. Call it divine intervention, folks, but things just got a whole lot better. Now we have Thinker's Frequency, our weekly mental workout, a weekly dose of insights and analysis that don't lead to paralysis right before we punch in. So let's continue with our journey of reading between the lines, things that are especially interesting and important in the world of business and finance. Let's go! But before we go, gotta follow tradition, of course. You know the tradition. You know the sweet and sacred tradition of the simultaneous sip. We'll all sip something together, and it'll bring us good luck, as it always does, without fail, every day. And all you need for the simultaneous sip is a cup or mug, a glass, a tank, a chalice, a stein, a canteen jug, a flask, or a vessel of any kind. Pour it with your favorite liquid. I like some hot water with black pepper in it. And here we go. Beautiful. Let's do it again. Lovely. You know what the simultaneous sip says, right? You know what it says? It says that you are not alone. It says that we're in this together, which is such a beautiful thing to say. With that out of the way, let's begin. So a lot of crazy things happened this week. But before we get into the analysis, a new movie came out on YouTube. It's an independent film, very important film in my opinion. One of the very, very good independent movies of India. It's called Silimani Kida. Came out in 2014. It has Mr. Naveen Kasturia. He's the TVF Pictures, Aspirants, Chai Sutta Chronicles, and so on. Very nice. It's written and directed by the director of Newton. It was an Oscar entry from India back in the day. It's a brilliant film, and the beauty is that it was just made at 8.5 lakh rupees, right? One of my director friends told me that it was made for 16 lakh rupees. An article says 8.5. Inflation adjusted 16 to 32. That's the cost of the movie, but it doesn't show. It seems like a very, very mature, well written, well shot movie. It's incredible and it's free on YouTube. So for a long time, I was trying to watch this movie. I was willing to pay anything to watch this movie, but this movie was not anywhere. I mean, you couldn't watch it on any streaming platform whatsoever until now. It's now on YouTube for free. Give it a watch. Great movie. Now let's begin with the analysis. Crazy, crazy things happened. You know, the craziest of all, let's begin with the craziest of all. You know about Jane Street, right? We've heard about Jane Street a lot. India knows about Jane Street, especially because these people, they made a lot of money from India, and then it became a legal case which is still on, and India is fighting them legally. They want to get them. They attach 4,500 crores of these guys' profits, right? And then it's a whole rigmarole. We've discussed a lot about it. Legally, Jane Street claims that SEBI has not shared the documents which it's using to sue the company, which it thinks cannot be legal, right? Now, those people have been found out as criminals. That's right, criminals. So, Jane Street did in FY24 trading revenues upwards of $20 billion. $20 billion. Out of which $13 billion was the net profit. So, these people make money which is unbelievable. $13 billion of net profit is not fathomable. Just for perspective, what is the net profit of Reliance Retail? Reliance Retail is a 3 lakh crore company by revenue, which means 3 lakh crores is what? $8 billion? No, $80 billion, right? 3 lakh crores is $80 billion. Or am I wrong? $1 billion is 9,000 crores. $10 billion is 90. Yeah. So $32 billion, $35 billion is Reliance, right? $36 billion. And out of which Reliance, how much money does Reliance make on a net level? Reliance Retail net profit. Okay, so quarterly profit is around 3,500 crores, and so you can imagine they must be doing what, 16,000 crores. That's $2 billion. Reliance Retail, which was a 3 lakh crore company by revenue, makes about $2 billion in net profits, and these guys made $13 billion. So the scale, I just wanted to give you an idea of scale, right? They are unbelievable. They are extraordinary. And it turns out that these people are just criminals, man. These people, their core competence is just criminality. You know, how's that? So I'll tell you what Jane Street does is its business model is that it raises a bunch of money from people, okay, and then it sets up the momentum by buying things on spot, okay. So when it starts buying things on spot, the price of that particular thing starts climbing up, okay. Then at the peak, right? These people start shorting the stock, okay, at a very very big level. And when they start shorting, they start selling their buys as well. So they buy in large amount, leading to a market momentum. Everybody starts buying. Everybody starts buying, and when everybody has bought and it hits the peak, that's when they put up new shots, big shots, right? And they also start selling. So as they start selling, the market starts falling, right? And then everybody's charts get blown, start blowing up. So everything starts falling, and then they close their shots at a heavy profit. So that's what these assholes do for a living. Okay, these people don't add any value to anything. These people are leeches, and just money collecting monkeys, right? Now, this was okay. This was bad. Legally, it was tenable. It was slightly complicated because the government says that, hey, you can't do that. That was an Indian case. What wasn't clear was that these people were also into insider trading. So it's come out that Terraform has sued Jane Street for insider trading, right? Now, what happened with Terraform and Luna? If you remember, Luna was a coin which went down by 99%. $40 billion went worth of securities were down to zero. Okay, and everybody was like, "Holy shit! That really killed people." A lot of people actually died because so many people lost so much of money. And Jane Street made a lot of money. And it turns out that these people had a group where the company's people, the Terraform people, three people, right? They had a private group chat called Bryce's Secret. And Bryce's Secret, these people, Terraform guys, at 544 pulled out 150 million USD from Curve 3 pool. That was essentially the basis of the whole thing. No disclosure, no announcement. And just after 10 minutes of that, Jane Street wallet pulled out 85 million. And then the whole, coin got depegged. And as it got depegged, the $40 billion security turned to dust. Okay. Now this is criminality. This is absolute criminality. This is insider trading, essentially. Now this was not the only thing. This is enough to send these assholes to jail. But this gets weirder, right? Now, as everything was happening, the Jane Street guys uh, sent a message to Luna guys, the founder Do Kwon, to buy Luna, right? At a steeply discounted price. And then uh, they sold more. So essentially, these people sold the stock through insider trading. As they sold it through insider trading, on the front they came out saying that they were essentially trying to save the company, and then sold it more. So these people are absolute criminals, and now this is out in the open. Now, Do Kwon, the guy behind Terraform Luna, they went to jail, right? So, Terraform paid $4.4 billion in SEC penalties. Do Kwon got 15 years. These guys haven't gotten jail yet. So it's to be seen how these people, uh, will be treated. But it's jail. Their business model is essentially screwing retail markets and crashing securities. That's what these people do at Jane Street. Okay, and it was always very clear, but somehow these people had some sort of respectability, aura of respectability, that oh, this is such a, uh, you know, uh, these people are rolling in money, they must be doing something right, but they're not doing anything right. These people are just plain old assholes who are making money through criminality and squeezing the retail investors. These people should not exist. Now, if you remember, if you've been watching Thinkers Frequency, I've always told you that I've had a serious problem with HFT, right? I told you about Flash Boys, the beautiful Michael Lewis book that I read, and I also recommended it a lot to you. I've been recommending that book since 8 9 months now, ever since we started talking. Now, I stand vindicated because this is out in the open. I always knew that these guys were BS, and somehow, with respectability, these people attracted a lot of talent, because a lot of people thought that it was an honor working with Jane Street. And how pathetic is that, to work with criminal monkeys collecting cash with no addition to value to the society at all. These people are just plain criminals. They are insider trading guys. They squeeze retail investors. These assholes should be persecuted, and they probably will. So let's see what happens. I have a question by Mr. Tushar Tiwari. Is it bad because of size? Because they are able to manipulate the market just because the size of capital. Okay. So are you implying, Mr. Tiwari, that prima facie you don't find anything criminal with this? The whole market manipulation, the buying and then making the market and then selling. Is that what you're saying? Well, that could be a lawyer's argument that this is not illegal. Uh, but it is illegal because most markets are regulated in ways that prevents this kind of market making and profiting from it. So insider trading is a crime for sure, says Mr. Tiwari. But you're talking about the earlier part, right? Well, that's also not legal. I mean, it shouldn't be. Ideally, it shouldn't be. I mean, you're basically allowing somebody to openly manipulate markets and make a killing. $13 billion for those assholes with five people. I'm sorry, I'm calling them assholes. I've called them assholes a lot of times. I should do that one more time. They are assholes. I don't, regret. So, no value to the markets. The beauty is, why does short selling exist, right? Why does short selling, why does market making exist? Why does price discovery exist? Because it adds some value to the markets. Okay, it adds some value to the markets. Like shorting is important because if shorting didn't exist, a lot of people will have bloated valuations, and those bloated valuations will kill uh, rationality, and then a lot of people will eventually lose a lot of money because nobody was playing the activist, nobody was playing the anti-force to the whole. That's why shorting is very important. So it's nothing against shorting as a principle, right? It is knowingly manipulating markets at timed intervals, uh, you know, at scale, and then crashing the market because you can. If I buy 100 shares of Reliance and short some 200 quantity, nothing matters because of size. Yeah, definitely. It doesn't matter because of size. So, if you're saying that if you do the same thing, but with 5 lakh rupees of capital, it won't be illegal for you. And that's a perfectly fair legal retort, actually. That's a perfectly fair legal retort. Let me try and see if I can contest that legally. It isn't illegal for you, but it is legal for them. it is illegal for them. Why? Okay, so here's an argument. It doesn't matter. It's not illegal for you, right? Because your trade book doesn't influence the market, right? It is not tracked and it is not affecting the larger market because of its influence. So when a company which has raised up, billions of dollars, they do it in a coordinated way, the market ends up moving. So the reason why it's bad for them to buy and then buy at 10 and sell at 12 or whatever is because markets move with their movement. They essentially change how uh, market interprets a particular security. Your trade wouldn't do that. So it specifically becomes an issue of size and scale. And you saying that it might not be illegal because fundamentally they're not doing anything illegal doesn't stand because you're not affecting the market, they are, right? And since their books are so large, there are a lot of momentum follows their buys and sells. It becomes essentially a responsibility, a legal responsibility. Although I'll say it's not a brilliant argument. So you got me there. It's very nicely done, right? It's beautiful. Although it's very great, that's why lawyers make money. But it is illegal. So let's see what happens. This How did this come about? These people were manipulating Bitcoin. So they did something called 10 a.m. slam, where they bought it at spot and then crashed the market and so on and so forth. So every day you saw Bitcoin crashing. And then they got the lawsuit, and then the next day nothing happened. The 10 a.m. slam, so to speak, didn't happen. So it's very weird, very crazy. Let's see what happens with Jane Street. Presumably, nothing will happen because these people are huge, but they seem to have, stepped on the gas a little too much this time. Let's see what happens. Let's see. But good discussion, Mr. Tiwari. Great legal rigmarole. A lot of other things also happened. Gold, silver, of course. Since the past month, ever since we made that tracker, by the way, since that 1 month, Shipping Corporation India has grown by 30%. So I should tell you that 30% Shipping Corporation of India has already returned 30% in the past month, ever since we wrote that tracker. I shared that tracker with you. In that tracker, I had clearly mentioned what was the goal behind writing these things, these analyses. We wanted to help a viewer, thinkers frequency viewer, a fellow thinkers frequency viewer to pay his debt, right? 2 lakhs of capital, 10 lakh debt. We wanted to fix that. And in a month, the recommendations are piling up. A lot of recommendations have not piled up in a month because they're not supposed to. This is not a trading advice, right? We're not short term traders doing like looking at candles, lamps, or whatever. We are actually dealing in fundamentals. Now, why did Shipping Corporation rise? Because uh, I told you, shipping is a mother lode industry. It is mother of heavy engineering. The government has changed its priorities around shipping. They want India to be a shipping powerhouse. And the way for India to be a shipping powerhouse is driving a lot of investments. So it's a 70,000 crore rupees coming in, a lot of capital. They want to attract investment. So there's public capex, private capex, everything. Now, Shipping Corporation has agreed to do a joint venture with a couple of PSUs, and that particular joint venture will have a lot going for them. So a lot of new business avenues will happen when it comes to shipping and allied industries, and that's why I told you. What did I write in that tracker, by the way? Can anybody does anybody remember? I'll have to open it up. Let me try. Let me try. I had written it for you, so I'm sure you know it already. But let me just 1 second. Bum bum bum. What did I write about shipping? Okay. So I wrote Masga Dock and related shipbuilding companies like Shipping Corporation, Garden Reach, Cochin Shipyard, etc. have been bullish on this industry since the beginning. Started talking about it in May 2025. The price was 3,000 Masga Dock. The stock is now at 2,400. It's fallen. India is going heavy on shipbuilding as an industry. The order book of company and others in the same place flush, and the stock has corrected from its peak from January onwards. The stock could go up by 30% in a year horizon. Others could also face similar upward movement. That's what I had written. And what happened? What happened? What happened is exactly what I told you. Like I told you. And when did I tell you? A long time ago. And what happened? Exactly like, and so on and so forth. That's my, African lady in hindsight joke. But that's what happened, folks. So a lot of things panning out for Thinker's frequency. By the way, and of course, gold and silver, everything is where it was. We are pretty solid when it comes to other things as well. If you look at the tracker, it's just working very well. Airtel still to go up. Shelly still to go up. Yes, banking companies are looking flush. JSW group of companies, I haven't picked anything. Railway stocks, not yet up, but railways are getting a lot of investments. Railways want to modernize themselves. They are inviting startups. A lot of that is going to happen, and railways really will push the pedal to the metal. Semicon stocks, retail, real estate, and so on and so forth. So we've done that. Now let's, where is the tracker link? I missed it. It's in the description of the video on LinkedIn and on YouTube, asks Mr. Tiwari. So I hadn't written a lot, but yeah, I had just laid out my thoughts because we discussed that we're gonna be making a tracker, and so we did, right? So a lot of ways we are getting, we are proving to be right. Today, just today, there's this news: online betting ban, GST relief boosting demand. Now, this is the first time an executive of high repute, this is the MD of Titan. Titan, of course, owns Carrot Lane, Jewelry Play, Eyewear, and so on and so forth. He says 10,000 crore in a month in the hands of consumers is affecting demand. Now, who told you that the real reason why online betting is banned is the demand push, consumption play? Who told you? Do you remember who told you? Do you remember this huge viral article that somebody wrote? And in that viral article, the person hypothesized that the real reason why this particular thing makes a lot of sense, it's gonna add a lot of money. I told you about dead money, the concept of dead money, because this money goes into deposits of these companies and nothing happens, and half of it just gets lost away. Right? The companies make money, they don't have a lot of rotation. The same money goes to the productive sector, and it has a multiplication factor of 4, 3, right? It adds points to GDP. So 1 lakh crore in a year, it makes a lot of money for the country. Who told you? This was the first time anybody wrote about that. Well, nobody's answering. I told. It was me. It was me, right? Now, 6 months later, or I don't know how much time has gone by since that article, the MD of Titan, Mr. Ajay Chawla, has said the same thing. When I wrote that article, Mr. Abhiraj, says Mr. Bhavik Shah. Thank you so much. Thank you. It was me. I had given a huge thesis. Abhiraj sir, the founder of Urban Company, messaged me. I am amazed at your insight on how you could arrive at this particular insight. I heard some of the top economists at CII say the same thing. That's what he said to me. And you know what? I asked him, sir, did those economists get paid for saying this? Because I just did this for free. And he said, yeah, they got paid probably. I'm like, God damn this morning's ass. Right? But, it's pretty simple, man. It's You gotta predict. It's an exercise that we did at Thinkers Frequency, and we got proven right. So this is very beautiful. We should keep doing this. Glad we are doing this. So let's move forward. Okay. Smartphone makers may get PLI 2.0. Government in talks to the industry make an exception with eye on tariffs. China destability successive program. So we've been talking about how PLI has created this particular industry, the smartphone industry play, right? Smartphone manufacturing didn't really exist in the country, and then in 2000 it began. The PLI, everything started, right? And now Apple is India's biggest export actually. India is exporting a lot of smartphones, right? Now it's almost a decade since that scheme has been running. So the government thought that now it's the time to pull that plug, right? And if you pull that plug, the industry should be able to stand on its own, right? That's what the government thought. A lot of companies actually responded to that particular move with backward integration, like Dixon and all. These people started buying core component companies so that they could work on margins, expand margins. But it didn't work, right? So the smartphone manufacturing, by the way, is a huge part. India is a 2 lakh crore market approximately. Smartphones are dying. I mean, they're not selling. The market is stagnant since many years. And 250 million, is that the size of the market? What's the size of the market, folks? 150 million. 150 million smartphones to 22, 23, 24, and so on. Now it's 148 and then 150. So it's not been growing, right? And then what happens is something really interesting is happening in the smartphone business. It's called tech shrinkflation. You know what's tech shrinkflation? Because memory prices are rising. SanDisk stock, if you look at SanDisk stock, it's really made a killing because memory is becoming more and more expensive. RAM, ROM, right? It's become so expensive that these phones are becoming expensive. That's like adding a delta of about 1,000 and a half, 2,500, something of that sort. And that delta is making affordability issues, creating affordability issues for the bottom of the pyramid. And as that affordability issue starts creeping up, the volumes are supposed to go down further, right? And then, of course, this China threat and everything, the whole tariff situation which has opened up, the whole Supreme Court play, right? So India might just lose out on a lot of tariff advantages. To solve for that, the country is looking at PLI 2.0 for smartphones. That's the news. We've deliberated on that a lot, right? That it could happen, right? It could happen because smartphones are such a force of Indian manufacturing. They are basically the bedrock of Indian electronics manufacturing, and then using that, other industries are supposed to crop up, and they have right now a disability of about 11 to 14% vis-a-vis Chinese players and so on and so forth, right? That needs to happen. So smartphone manufacturing, key to achieving $500 billion production by 2030, Apple, Samsung, among the success stories. So that's Mr. Peeyush Sethi asks, why is memory so expensive all of a sudden? And then Mr. Tushar Tiwari asks, is phone prices about to rise? Might upgrade before it does rise sharply. So to answer Mr. Piyush Sethi's question, it's because of AI. It's because of AI chips, right? Memory is in short supply, and that particular thing is coupled, right? So it's not like these two things are independent. So all that. So if you look at SanDisk stock right now, let me look at SanDisk stock. SanDisk stock, 6 months, 1,200% in 6 months. Whew! From 47 to 651. Holy shit, man. Somebody made 12x in 6 months. Somebody who bet on SanDisk 6 months ago, they made 12x. God damn it. God damn it. We missed it, right? We missed it. We didn't talk about how memory could become expensive, right? And how SanDisk could be a good buy. Shit. Anyway, but yeah, this happened. It's because the whole capex play, the whole chips play, chips becoming more and more in demand, memory gets expensive. Memory is getting expensive. Laptops, phones, all of them get expensive. Now coming to Mr. Tushar Tiwari's question, is phone prices about to rise? Yes. Yes, they will, in a way. And laptops have already risen, by the way. So that particular inflation is happening. So what these people are doing, Mr. Ankur Pandit says, phone prices are already higher than last year. OEMs are resorting to using last gen RAM to keep prices in check. Exactly, that was what I was saying, Mr. Pandit. I was coming to that. Thank you so much. It's called shrinkflation in tech. So what these people are doing is, shrinkflation is when you reduce the size of the biscuit, keep the price same so that it keeps selling, right? If there's a 5 rupee biscuit, you can't make it like 7 rupees, stop selling. So what you do is you keep it 5, but you take a few biscuits away, reduce the size of the packet. That's what these electronics companies are doing. So they are essentially at the same price degrading the tech so that they can keep selling. This is happening for the first time in my knowledge. It's pretty new for me, shrinkflation in tech, but that's what's happening. But to solve for these issues, PLI is back. Government is gonna be sending a lot of money, and that is. But I feel very sad. I just want to beat myself because of the whole Sandisk situation. I wanna, just I feel sad, man. What do we do? How do we? It's like 12x in 6 months. One excuse is that I have not been tracking foreign markets that closely, because India didn't have any particular exposure in that. That's one cop out that I can say. It's very sad. This reminds me of that meme, that Ranveer Ala Badia meme, where he says, मुझे आपने वो whip देखा है, लोग whip करते हैं अपने आप को मुहर्रम के टाइम पे. तो लेडी बोलती है यस मैंने देखी है. बोला मुझे विप करने का मन कर रहा है अपने आप को. बोले क्यों? क्योंकि मैं आपके लिए फूल नहीं लाया. एंड दैट लेडी इज लाइक क्यों नहीं लाए? तो ही सेज क्या विप? दैट्स हाउ आई फील. लाइक क्यों नहीं लाए विप? मेरे को विप करने का मन कर रहा है अपने आप. एनीवे, बट द पॉइंट इज दिस हैपेंड and this is exactly what's happening. Samsung phone series also doesn't have any updates this year, probably for the same reason, asks Mr. Peeyush Sethi. Yes. Now let's go forward, folks. India Israel elevating partnership, no surprise to anyone, shouldn't be, right? It's gonna be a defense play as well, of course. SEBI sharpens mutual fund classification, solution oriented category next, mandate to straight to true label, not stress only on returns. This keeps happening, that's okay. Surge in tobacco use drag on public health and finance. EACPM, External Affairs, they are saying, Economic Advisory Council to PM says, tobacco use a drag on public health and finance. Well, that shouldn't surprise anybody. That tobacco is a drag on public health. A lot of tobacco users in this country. Cigarette obviously is a huge part of tobacco spending. According to paper, per capita spending on tobacco rose 58% in rural India and 77% in urban areas between 2012 and 2023-2024. Right? 55% in urban, 33% in rural. Growth 12 to 24. 1.3 million deaths due to tobacco. 133 million rural households and 47 million urban households use tobacco. Cigarettes are a big part of tobacco consumption. Let me tell you how much of tobacco consumption is cigarettes. Just 1 second, folks. I will tell you. So, okay, cigarettes remain most widely used tobacco products. 18% of urban households and 16% is gutka. So gutka and this is obviously a problem. Health spending has risen 48% in fiscal 22 from 29 in fiscal 25. So we are spending a lot of money because of tobacco related issues. Now a very good question which keeps coming up. Mr. Ankur Pandit says, cigarette supply is also crunched right now. Manufacturers sitting on inventory, anticipating a price rise and hoping to cash on it. No, that Mr. Pandit, isn't that because of the tax upgrade which happened, and they had inventory issues to mark their pricing according to the new tax play. So it's the cess and so on and so forth, not as much because of the rising price. And even if the price rises, they won't be able to cash on it. They'll actually lose out on a lot of money, because government is taxing it more, right? Now the question which I was coming to was, a lot of people say, why doesn't the government just ban cigarettes, right? It's such a bad product, it's such a unhealthy product, it's straining the exchequer, the health problems are clear. 1.3 million deaths, 13 lakh deaths due to tobacco reported. Even if you say that data is bullshit, whatever, why doesn't just government ban cigarettes, right? That's a fair question, usually comes up. But this question is for the uninitiated. You know what the principle of banning is? You can ban something if the illegal production of that particular thing isn't very simple. If the illegal production and distribution of a particular product is very simple, it wouldn't be a smart decision to ban that particular thing, because you won't be able to curtail the actual use of it. Then your only best bet is to actually regulate it, tax it to death, right? Because you won't be able to stop the distribution of it, right? So a lot of people use this argument to defend the online betting argument, betting play. That hey, if online betting is so bad and the government is actually banning it, why doesn't it ban cigarettes, right? And the answer to that is very simple. That hey, you idiots, it's if the government bans online betting at the scale of Dream 11, Games 24/7, or these billion dollar companies, right, who are just democratizing, uh, one second, online gaming, right? Do you expect the illegal players to catch on that market with full swing? Obviously not. They might be able to take some part of it, right? 5%, 4%, 8%, some of it, the illegal part. They will capture some of the market, that's for sure. But they won't be able to actually replace the entire play. But the same is not true for cigarettes, because cigarettes are very easy to make, very easy to dissipate, distribute. It's actually a crop, right? It's a tobacco play, and so on and so forth, right? It just goes everywhere, and that's what's happening in the case of marijuana, right? Mr. Tushar Tiwari says, same argument for high tax too. Unbranded stuff sale increases for tobacco, cigarette, etc. Well, so okay, so Mr. Tushar Tiwari has a counter. He says the same argument is right. If it's too taxed, uh, why wouldn't people just buy unbranded cigarettes or unbranded liquor and so on and so forth? Now I'll tell you why. This is again a good discussion. What happens is that with regulation comes a lot of consumer benefit. So ethyl salicylate, which is the filter of a cigarette, which is not an easy play. The paper, everything, it's not an easy thing to manufacture at scale, right? So that particular bit goes away as soon as you ban it, right? That all that goes away. So people won't be able to make that. So they will be able to make a cigarette which is illegal, or let's say it doesn't have the whole filter play and so on and so forth. Now, I've never smoked a cigarette in my life, but I know that there's a cigarette filter which taps a lot of tar, right? So regulation is not just to tax people or tax an industry, it also comes with user benefits. And some of those user benefits make people comfortable with paying more than go with a cigarette which might be poisonous, or might not have that paper quality or that filter quality and so on and so forth. Now because that is regulated, that's taxed, but since that's taxed, it's at scale, its quality is everywhere, it has a better, branding, positioning and so on and so forth, the customer will still buy that. There are a lot of illegal liquor going around. But I'm assuming Mr. Tushar Tiwari doesn't drink that illegal liquor, right? Because a lot of it might just be methanol and he might die, right? So he will buy uh, branded liquor because that is safe, right? A lot of people still buy unbranded liquor and then die, but that number is pretty small. So regulation, taxing isn't as big a deterrent for people to skip the legal alternative altogether, because it's not just tax, it also comes with a sense of safety which consumers value. I hope that is well explained. uh, Mr. Abhishek Sharma says maybe regulatory concerns. About what? I don't understand. But I hope that particular thing, But even now, Mr. Deepak Gurram says, but even now, they could still produce it illegally, right? What's stopping them? Our judiciary police force, I mean, they can easily navigate that, right? You're talking about illegal cigarettes? They are, but nobody buys them because of what I explained right now. It's not just a regulatory arbitrage which works all the time, right? There's a lot of factors at play. You got to think case to case and deeply. That's why analogy thinking is very bad. So all the people who were like defend online banning, online betting because it's gonna help people, and now they're gonna go and do unregulated betting and so on. So all that was bullshit. They don't have any idea about how hard it is to actually run an online betting shop. Now, viewers of Thinkers Frequency know this because we've discussed it in depth. We've gone heavy on the, minutiae of illegal online betting, right? So we won't repeat that again, but I hope you like the explanation. Let's move forward, folks. DGCA opens window for free cancellation. Passengers won't be charged for the name error. Yeah, that's okay. Forced stay, no BMA, says court. IT department can't blindly impose law on involuntary residence to get foreign asset info. So this is pretty interesting. This is a legal rigmarole, and you might appreciate it. So what happened is that somebody who spends 150 days, more than 150 days, essentially gets taxed in a certain way. Somebody who spends less than 150 days in India gets taxed in a certain way. The over 150-day guy needs to reveal its foreign assets because, he's de facto Indian and so on and so forth, its residence and so on and so forth, right? So what the tax guys used to do was that these people used to get these people to stay in custody so that they cross those 150 days. As they cross those 150 days, now, hey, you spent 150 days, now you got to reveal those foreign assets, right? Now that was grey. Obviously, it was legally grey, and it is now illegal. So court has said that you can't do that, man. You can't count the, involuntary days of stay and then have somebody reveal their income. So this is interesting. That's supposed to. I see a lot of laughter. But yeah, that's happened. So it's interesting. We should know. So they're saying that you can't do that. It's gonna be bad news for Indian income tax department, but good news for people in custody. They're gonna say, this is not what I wanted to do. I didn't want to stay for 150 days. These people held me in custody for 30 days. Let's move on, folks. For energy security, India plans 6 MMT. MMT's full form is metric ton. 1 second, folks. What is the MMT full form? Does anybody know what's the MMT full form? I'm just missing it. God damn it. MMT. I am just, can anybody help me with that? 1 second. No, not modern monetary theory. No, Mr. Sharma, I'm talking about deep water exploration, the refinery play. the unit for deep water exploration. So, shifting geopolitics, mounting oil sourcing pressures, India is preparing a three pronged energy security strategy that includes Samudra Manthan. Now, they are going to be exploring deep water oil reserves and so on and so forth. So, 6 MMT reserve boost refining hub drive. So, this is going to happen. This is yet again a step in strengthening the shipbuilding play. We've talked about this. Million metric tons, says Mr. Bhavik Shah. Thank you so much. Marine magneto lyrics. No, Mr. Abhishek Sharma. Mr. Bhavik Shah was right. It's million metric tons, right? So what these people are gonna do is they're gonna be using the shipbuilding sector for energy security, going up with 6 MMT reserve boost, right? They're calling it Sagar Manthan, which is so additional 6 MMT buffer. Chandikot, Odisha, Karnataka, and so on and so forth. And this is going to be huge. So LNG terminals and so on. This is yet again another vindication when it comes to the whole shipbuilding play. More and as I said, when you look at that particular industry, Mr. Ankur Pandit says million metric tons. Thank you so much. Sorry for the dumb. I just forgot. Right? I didn't want to say something wrong. So I just wanted to be sure. So thank you so much. So what I was saying was that shipbuilding as an industry will lead to a lot of ancillary industries which nobody knows right now. Right? Nobody knows. Now, people don't know about inland waterways, right? It's basically a green field. Nobody knows about it. Now, that particular industry, as it grows, as it gets formed, it's going to lead to so many second order and third order effects that's going to be a lot of money, right? So it's an unexplored, uncharted territory right now. And we are just lucky to be in a place where we can benefit from the growth of it. So that's that, right? Let's move on. We're not going to discuss politics, of course. Israel is going to allow 50,000 workers by 2030. 16 MOUs signed, critical minerals, civil nuclear, space, and emerging technologies. We know about that. You know what happened, folks? NCRT came out with a chapter on corrupt judiciary. Okay? And judiciary got irked and they're like, we're not going to let this slide. We're going to find this. No heads are going to turn. We're going to make sure somebody who's done this pays and so on and so forth. Now, judiciary is all the problems of this country, right? Come back to one, one last link. It's the corrupt judiciary. So NCRT naturally wrote a chapter on it, as they should have. But somehow they're being arm twisted by the judiciary. They're going to be revising it. They're cutting it back and so on and so forth. I wish to read that chapter and I wish to distribute that chapter everywhere because judicial corruption is what's holding people back. Now, we've discussed about this, but this warrants repetition. Why is judiciary the reason for everything bad with the country? Everything. So you can blame everybody, but at the end of it, you can just blame judiciary, right? Because judiciary enforces the law, right? Mr. Abhishek Sharma writes, quick question, even if it was right, why did government give up to the judiciary? It's contempt of court or something of that sort, some legal play, right? CBSE is not that powerful body which can literally directly challenge judiciary. Maybe that's the reason. But the point is that judiciary decides the incentive structure of the society. Are the incentives right or wrong? Does it make for an Indian to live a lawful life, good life, to get good outcomes? Or is it good for an Indian to actually, loot somebody, kill somebody, not pay somebody, and so on and so forth? How far does a society go in enforcing a right incentive structure? Decides where the society goes, essentially. And as we know, our Indian judiciary is pathetic, right? And that's why the incentive structure is bad. India gives no incentives for good behavior. India gives a lot of incentives for bad behavior. India condones bad behavior, due to which everything wrong happens. So it all comes down to the incentive structure. Viewers of Thinkers Frequency would know our discussion on El Salvador. It used to be the most unsafe country in the world. Now it's the safest country in the Western Hemisphere. And Mr. Nayib Bukele said, why is that so? So we're not going to repeat ourselves. We've discussed it enough. New viewers of Thinkers Frequency, if you want a big spiel on the incentive structure, I could help you. But I'm not going to repeat myself unless explicitly asked for it. So let's go. IRFC OFS didn't work. That was Railway Finance Corporation. Let's move forward. DII flows into equity, 10-month low. Chase precious metal shines. Metals have been shining. Gold, silver have been going up. Domestic investors are also people who are re-looking at the Indian equities play. Earlier it was just foreign investors, domestic players, institutional players were in. Now it's gonna change a little, right? But gold and silver. So what did I tell you? Exactly what I told you. Let's move on, folks. Banks have to pay more on CDs, certificate of deposits, bulk deposits in March. So why is this so? Why do banks need to give certificate of deposits? Right? Because they are not being able to mobilize deposits. Why are they not being able to mobilize deposits? Because, Indians are more interested in making money through other plays. Like they want equities returns. They were very good. Metals, they were very good, and so on and so forth. But without deposits, right? Without consumer deposits, bank lose a very good source of good capital, right? And that's not good for their liquidity coverage ratio. That's not good for their CASA. That's not good for their liquidity play, right? So they're trying their best to mobilize deposits, and since more deposits are not really happening because of lower interest rates, certificate of deposits, it's another instrument. It's basically happening. Bulk deposits is a certificate of deposits. 3-month CDs have already spiked above 7%, compares with 6% bank rate borrowing. Bank rates 6%, CDs make money. Lower liquidity coverage ratio, GST outflows, year-end credit demand, high credit deposit ratio. So I have been talking about this. System liquidity in February has been about 2.5 lakh crores, which is pretty good. But that is the SOFR play, right? The overnight thing. They need deposits for good, liquidity coverage issue, which is not happening. So they're going to be doing that. And what happens if deposits don't yield, right? And deposits don't go down and interest rates go down. If interest rates go down and deposits don't go down, proportionally, the net interest margins get hit of the banks, and that is a problem, right? So, but the banking as an industry is going to be seeing some good news in times to come. That's a prediction. By the way, did you look at IT, folks? Did you look at IT? Now, do you remember somebody told you, I'm not going to say who, but somebody told you that IT might just have a lot of bad news, which is not yet hit it, but it might just hit it. And so it's best to stay away. And at that same time, all the analysts, right, all the hedge fund guys, or the brokerages, not the hedge fund guys, but the brokerages, they said that IT has sort of bottomed out. They're looking at candles, DA. They're looking at, I don't know what they were looking at, lampposts. They were looking at lanterns, whatever they were looking at. They said the worst is over for IT, and now it might just be time for IT to come back, right? And since then, folks, IT has fallen over 20%, man. IT has fallen over 20%. So let me look at Nifty IT. Okay. Nifty IT. Okay. In 1 month, Nifty IT is down 20%. Now, I'm not going to say who told you. Oh, Mr. Abhishek Sharma says that's why we come to you. So thank you. It was me. It was me. Fundamentals, folks. Fundamentals. It's we're just getting better at. I sense the mockery for technical analysis, says Mr. Tushar Tiwari. Yeah, technical analysis is just so funny, man. It's just so funny. These people are looking at charts and like this is forming an upward candle and this is forming an upward and somebody created a very nice sketch. The whole drop of the particular security, I'm not gonna say which one, and they just drew a little boy pissing. So it was just, that boy standing upright and it was just this dropping like this, right? And that's the best use of technical analysis. It leads to good drawings, right? Funny drawings. But when it comes to actually predicting the future, it's always good to think long term. It's also good to think very fundamental, right, and deep. So if you know about what's happening on ground and at every level, not just on ground but at every level, that makes you helps you make decisions which are far more pragmatic and useful than just looking at candles and charts and stuff like that. Mr. Ankur Pandit says, does technical analysis of stock make any sense since all stock experts make such calls on basis? Like, I don't like it, but these people are traders, right? So a lot of what they do is very trade oriented, and that way they are right. Because if you're trading and you're looking at volumes and so on and so forth, and your job is to literally trade by the minute, right? Buy and sell right now and so on and so forth. Maybe that helps. So I'm not disregarding the science of it, or if there is science, right? Art of it. But those people are traders and we are not, right? And we don't want to be traders. So we shouldn't think like traders, right? If we are actually thinking in a, let's say, not to be aggrandizing, but in a smart way, right? And we are thinking as not just as traders, but as observers and predictors of where things might go. It's good to have the story nailed down to the last letter, right? And that technical analysis is not good for. So it's very good for very quick trades and making money that way, which I am not familiar with. So I don't do that. So I won't say anything about it, right? Let's move on, folks. Capillaries share has slid 35%, right? Because of AI storm and so on and so forth. Banks on ledger model acquisitions to revive growth and margins. Let's move on, folks. We've talked about healthcare. NARCL, that's Asset Reconstruction Limited. It's 900 crore for 30,000 Videocon's oil debt. That's not a lot of money, but that's the best that can happen when it comes to Videocon. Jindal Polyfilms, by the way, has gotten a 2,500 crore lawsuit by minority shareholders because they say that some entities have been sold to enrich, the founders, the family, but not good for minority trades. So they apparently sold a few properties, securities at less than market value to related entities for personal enrichment. That particular class action lawsuit is gonna go forward, 2,500 crores. No matter what happens in that lawsuit, I don't know what's gonna happen. When will that lawsuit actually lead to something? But till then, right? You know what's gonna happen, right? You know what's gonna happen. We know what's gonna happen. Lawyers are gonna make money. Lawyers make money, folks. City Gas expansion has lost steam. They are not being able to add customers. Neither they are being able to add new CNG stations. So City Gas, right? CNG stations make money. The home distribution loses money, right? That's the economics. But they're not adding the gas stations, even the gas stations now. Why? Why do you think so? It is because they've already done a lot of capex. They've done a lot of expansion. Now they're gonna wait for those particular stations to yield something, and after they've done that, that's when they're gonna put pedal to the metal. So it's a seasonal question true. Mr. Ankur Pandit says, makes sense, Nishant. Helpful for quick trades, but not much use for value investing. Correct. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. That's a very nice sum of things. Let's move on. Now I'm so happy with what we've been doing at Thinkers Frequency. We've been doing this for 9 months now. 9 months. So now we've actually become very good, by the way, in thinking, in expressing, in actually predicting. We've gotten things right, we've gotten things wrong, more right than wrong, thankfully. And we've been very, our skill, if it was a muscle, everything is a muscle, I think. This particular muscle is getting exercised a lot with this mental workout, which is beautiful. Right, let's move on. Right, we are going ahead. Although I have one complaint with the viewers of Thinkers Frequency. We've gotten things right quite a lot, but words of encouragement are only, private. It would be nice if you wrote about it, share it on platforms, so that everybody can know what we're doing. Right? We are a very niche play. Now, I have no ambitions with Thinkers Frequency. It's fun. That's why I do it. And I don't mean to grow the whole exercise. I don't need a lot of viewers or anything. It's very good as a niche exercise. But, appreciation is always very good when it comes in public. But I get appreciation, a lot of it, but in private, which is something that, could change. Mr. Abhishek Sharma writes, CNG could be in a sweet spot given E20 petrol concerns and electric vehicles not picking up much. CNG that way is going very well. Very well. Let's move on, folks. NFRA inspection reports of 10 audit firms by March end. Audit, the market is booming. Now India obviously wants its audit firms to grow, right? So they've given them a lot of leeway. They're coming out with new regulations. They want to strengthen. They want India's companies to compete with the big fours of the world and so on and so forth. And a lot is moving in that direction. So unfortunately, we can't buy any stock related to those things. None of those players are listed. They cannot be. But if there was a way to make money on this, it would have been an easy way, because it's so out there. It's so transparently obvious that this is going to happen. Similarly, this is going to happen in banking as well, because India wants its own too big to fail banks, right? SBI is obviously a bank which is in contention. So India wants 2 or 3 of its banks in the top 10 banks of the world. So it's transparent and obvious that some Indian banks are going to go huge in terms of market cap, right? So it's an easy way to make money over a 3-year, 5-year horizon, right? If you bet on Indian banking. But that's not so easy when it comes to this whole new paradigm of Indian audit firms and consulting firms, because we don't know how to catch that wave, so to speak. Let's move on, folks. Mr. Ankur Pandit, right? Noted, Nishant. We'll do a LinkedIn post very soon on TF and how invigorating its discussions have been. So sweet of you, Mr. Pandit. I want to invite you, to talk with me on something. Let's do a live thing where we both are present. That'll be cool. You just got to tell me what you want to talk about, and then we'll make this happen, right? That's going to be awesome. Let's move on, folks. So, real tech policy tapping startups, that's okay. We talked about that. There is something that we were wrong about, but I'm forgetting. I'm gonna do that. Indigo's cargo volume increased 11% last year. Rise in capacity, 3 new freighters. Freight forwarding going up when it comes to planes, right? That was supposed to happen. I told you that was supposed to happen. Even though the cost of freight when it comes to rail, road and air is very, very different and steep, right? $1.9 per metric ton per kilometer through rail, $11 through road, and $66 through air, right? Even then it's gonna happen a lot. You know why? Because that 66 is not static. It's gonna go down. With the whole Ude Desh Ka Nar Nagarit, new routes and so on and so forth, that particular bit comes down. And as it comes down, its share goes up because it offers a lot of value, right? So freight forwarding, logistics as a segment is huge. India has a lot to gain when it comes to that particular segment, right? We should be uh, watch out for an IPO Eco Fuels, says Mr. Bhavik Shah. Eco Fuels. Interesting. Let's move on. Branded hotels set for big growth on infrastructure push. Sector projected to log CAGR of over 13%, $45 billion top in 4 years. We've been talking about that for a very long time. Branded hotels, right? That's obvious. India is seeing a lot of growth in branded hotels, although the stocks have not been doing so well, right? And I will not be surprised if the stocks lag in a certain way, although they have a clear way. I mean, in macro terms, there's no reason why Indian hotels and other stocks should not go well. But I don't know. Let me check Indian hotel stock and how they've been doing. Stock. 1 year perspective, 6% down. 5 years perspective, 471% up. So not doing well in a yearly horizon, but since 5 years, it's 5x the money, which is not bad, which is actually pretty great, right? 119 to 680 bucks. So it's actually doing well, and it's gonna do well, and it's gonna continue doing well in a lot of ways. So Indian hotels, great way to make money. I should add that to thinkers frequency, although I'm not sure of the stock. So the industry should grow despite so many structural problems with India. So if you've seen that thing slip in the past year, it's because India has a lot of structural issues when it comes to tourism, and India is not sure on how to solve them. So India, the government has said they're not gonna go pedal to the metal when it comes to Indian tourism because the cities aren't ready, and they're right. They're right. Just 1 second, folks. My phone could go off anytime, and I need to solve for that. Just 1 second. There we go. Sorry about that. So yeah, hotels. Complicated bet, but in a macro view, easy to say. Let's move on, folks. We've talked about Indian, you know, penetration of hotel rooms. We are severely underpenetrated when it comes to hotel rooms. Our ADR is high right now. Our ADR is great. Our occupancy rate is great. Everything is great. But and that could keep going up. Although it's India has 2008 branded hotels comprising 196,000 rooms, largely concentrated in major cities. This contrasts sharply with the fact that most travel occurs by road, right? So they're saying that there's a lot of room to grow. Again, that is not the way to study anything, right? Just because China has a certain room percentage or so on and so forth doesn't mean India will also have that play. Although uh, the growth shouldn't be complicated to predict. Let's move on, folks. That was today. We've talked about that. Let's move forward. Advanced packaging can help India enter supply chains. We've talked about that. Let's check if we missed something from the week. I have been thorough. I've tried to be pretty thorough. But I'll just quickly give you a roundup of the week. Right? Yeah. Internshala has been acquired. I should have mentioned. Internshala has been acquired for 100 crores despite having 45 crores in revenue. 45 crores in revenue, 100 crores. And that to 90% was just stock, right? 90% was stock. And the report said that the company had been growing at 30 to 40%. That was the upgrade report. And they want to increase this particular growth to 40 to 50%. So So I was like, why would they sell out for two, revenue multiple of two essentially? Why would they do that? That doesn't make any sense, right? And then I got approached by somebody, an ex-employee of intern Shala, and they told me that in fact the company was not growing. The company had stalled for many years. They were not being able to do the business itself, right? Intern business, it doesn't have a lot of money, but they were trying to diversify. They were trying to sell foreign loans and stuff like that. A lot of things that they were trying to do, nothing panned out, and they had essentially stalled right after raising money, and then investors essentially uh, drove them to get out, right? So that is what happened at Intern Shala. It wasn't a growing story. Mr. Ankur Pandit writes, across the global, hospitality standards have come down. Indian hospitality has been welcome aberration with service standards still being maintained. Indian service standards are extraordinary. It was extraordinary. I mean, anywhere across the world, nothing beats Indian hospitality when it comes to the hotel play. But let's see. There are a lot of structural problems. The Swachh Bharat thing has fallen apart and so on and so forth. By the way, we contributed, my company, we did a small donation for a very nice cleanliness effort happening in the mountains. It was we loved it. Loved your post on Intern Shala, says Mr. Abhishek Sharma. Thank you so much. Let's move on, folks. A lot of things. Did you know that Anthropic essentially came out with a report saying that they can modernize COBOL, right? And when they could modernize COBOL is basically the earliest programming language. All the people who wrote in COBOL, they've basically died or retired, right? It runs on mainframes. It runs basically the backbone of entire ATMs, and all the banking play and all of those things are still written in COBOL. The development cost, or let's say upgrading cost of COBOL per line comes at around $12 per line of code. Now that could come down to $2 per line of code, since Anthropic says that they've essentially modernized it. What happened to IBM stock? IBM stock just went to the toilet. In one day, it went back by 13%. Right? This is like the biggest fall in a day in 25 years for a company called IBM. And then, we had the chief of IBM, Mr. Arvind Sri Krishna. He came out and said that the market is overreacting and so on and so forth. And it won't lead to something like that. So let's look at IBM stock. It grew to 10%, right? It fell 13%. In 5 days, it's down 5%. Obviously, some of it's going to correct, but he says that Anthropic said that, the COBOL thing. Now, that also hurt IT players because they also do this a lot, right? Consulting projects, COBOL modernization, and so on and so forth, maintenance and modernization. So, that particular play really shook the world. Let's move on. ByteDance is now worth $550 billion. ByteDance is going to be $1 trillion company. TikTok is going to screw Instagram. Mr. Ankur Pandit writes, what's your take on Physics Wala entering the OTT play? Physics Wala is entering OTT? I did not know that. Let's move on. Kantar really looking at Indian growth. That's a market research play. Microfinance in revival mode. Private banks expand business in January. Microfinance institutions and private banks have gone up. So if you look at microfinance, the sector was for 2 years in deep stress. A lot of delinquencies, a lot of NPAs essentially ailing it. So they had scaled back on how they're gonna go forward with microfinance as a sector, right? So if you remember, Madam Padmaja Reddy from Spandan Murthy, she said microfinance is systemic issues and those issues are not going anywhere. Seems like the market is gonna come back now. They say NBFC MFI portfolio rose to 1.35 lakh crore at the end of January from 1.32 lakh, while the portfolio of private banks increased to 84 1,000 crores from 83,000 crores. So very, very nominal play, but it seems to be coming back. The delinquencies are going down, right? Regions that exhibited elevated delinquency in parts of eastern and southern India have shown meaningful improvement in mid-stage buckets. So that's what these people are saying. Uh, I'm gonna be cautious about this, but yeah, the sector structurally seems to have benefited from let's say some kind of cautious optimism. Yeah, that would be a nice way to put it. Let's move on. There was a Forex card breach, by the way, Make My Forex. It's a company, and they had a dealing with Yes Bank, and there was a breach. They started doing transactions in Brazilian currencies and so on and so forth. A lot of people lost money. RBI is going to compensate those people. The data breach essentially got card details out, and people, they lost a lot of money. Yes Bank is getting investigated on that. RBI has summoned those people. IDFC, by the way, also had a banking play. Haryana government, they had like a 540 crore heist, right? And that is also a proper legal rigmarole right now. IDFC 590 crore sent all big banks scrambling to find similar skeletons in their closets, says Mr. Ankur Pandit. That's absolutely right. Let's move on. Oil PSUs to take 35% in shipping joint freight venture with Shipping Corporation of India. I told you about it. Let's move on. Metal stocks rise 7%, have upside scope up of 25%. Right? Hindustan Zinc has done very well. Lloyd's, Vedanta is coming back because of the debt resolution working out. Would I touch the stock? Not at the moment. But yeah, fundamentally is looking good. Right? You need to look at it a little deeper. But prima facie, it seems that the worst is behind them. They've been able to, refinance their debt. Their debt to EBITDA was very, very bad. They were basically going to the toilet, but they've solved it. CRISIL has, by the way, happy with their ratings and so on and so forth when it comes to Vedanta and allied groups. So that is play. Let's move on. IIFL has raised 75 million versus via external commercial borrowing. ECBs. You know why India is going heavy on ECBs, right? We've talked about this. Viewers of Thinkers Frequency should know why India has been able to attract a lot of ECBs, right? Because, tell me. Mr. Abhishek Sharma writes, given IT is not a good bet, thoughts on any Indian companies which can benefit from AI impact? India doesn't have that AI play right now, right? There are a few semiconductor companies, although I'm not sure. But I've been, literally requesting viewers of Thinkers Frequency, if you come across any semiconductor company, right, directly related to the data center push, let's say, or anything, right, memory play and so on and so forth, write in comments. I'm not a trader, so I'm not looking at that stock in that way. I don't know a particular company which should be invested in. But I don't know if India has a company which could be. A lot of people in real estate are benefiting because of the data center play, right? So AI impact, that is AI impact, and we've discussed about it. So heating players, cooling players, water cleaning players, air cleaning players. So air purifiers, water purifiers, air conditioning, the building guys, the building materials players, the real estate trusts, the REITs. I've written them in the tracker as well. All of these people are definitely going to benefit from the AI impact, so to speak. But real estate, not which is core to the housing play, right? The office play and the data center play. Housing play is going to get negatively affected if AI takes up and loses a lot of jobs. You know what happened, folks? Block just came out with their report. Mr. Jack Dorsey, the founder of Square, which is now Block, he says he's going to fire 40% of his people. 4,000 people are going to lose their jobs because they fundamentally found out more efficient ways to work. He's basically alluding to AI. He says he could have gone slowly, step by step, when it comes to firing people, but he chooses to be, because that hurts the morale. So he's gonna do it at once, and then the surviving team will, be heavy on it. So that's his thesis. Let's see how that particular plays out. Right, a lot of people lose jobs. Housing market obviously crashes. That is very, very natural. So don't go into housing directly. Let's move on. Somebody writes, Mr. Sumuk says, transformer and electrical equipment, yes, the wiring games comes will grow because of the data center play. We've discussed a lot about this. PSB, Mull, paper bank guarantees, we've talked about that. They're going digital. Fertilizer industry may soon see an end to Inspector Raj. A lot of approvals, a lot of inspections, a lot of things when it comes to fertilizer manufacturing and so on and so forth. These people, Niti Aayog guys say, right, compliance bottlenecks and legal hurdles will go out, and fertilizer as an industry will see a renewed resurgence. So let's see what happens there. Fertilizer as a sector, it makes sense to go ahead with, right? You know why metals went up, right? The steel guys, because they had import duties to ring fence the Chinese imports into India. That obviously is going to happen in a lot of ways in the agri economy as well. So let's see what happens. Move on, folks. Net neutrality, 5G network slicing. TRAI has held off on net neutrality rules for 5G network slicing. So network slicing by telco guys, it was coming under the pressure because they thought that it's going to come in the way of the net neutrality play. And now they say it's not going to come in the way of net neutrality play, because net neutrality works on the principle that you cannot be creating a walled garden of basic internet, right? That cannot happen. You cannot degrade a service, exclude anybody. But what network slicing says is we're not going to reduce anything. We're just going to add a few things, and that is going to be differently priced. So that's a clever way to deal with the situation, right? Tomato, tomato. But yeah, that makes sense. Let's move on, folks. So if you be exclusionary, look at the CGI. It says, won't let anyone taint the judiciary, just wait. How? What kind of bullies are these people? NCRT book chapter. Corruption in judiciary. Selective reference, a calculated, deep-rooted attempt to denigrate judiciary. Won't allow an institution to be defamed. Anyway, let's move on, folks. Smartphones are a problem. Shapurji Palanji, debt is going to be a bit cheaper because it seems like they're going to get the money. It was in deep shit. Aston Martin, the British brand, automotive brand, they're cutting 20% of staff. Tariffs hitting car makers. But you know what's the real reason for European car companies going to the toilet, right? You know what the real reason is. We've talked about this. Do you know what the real reason is for European car companies, Stellantis losing $25 billion, Aston Martin? Mr. Abhishek Sharma writes China. Bingo! That's a bingo! Let's move on. China is gonna screw all the European car companies put together, and they won't know what hit them, and they won't be able to save themselves, right? They sold themselves out, man. Cannot do anything about it. Let's move on. China and Japan, by the way, are really up there. China has restricted exports to 40 Japanese companies with ties to the military. They're saying dual-use companies won't get Chinese products, Chinese, stuff. Mr. Ankur Pandit writes China EV onslaught. Correct. Now, Japan says that it might intervene if China moves towards Taiwan and so on and so forth. Now, that's another geopolitical uncertainty. You know what happens when geopolitical uncertainty happens, right? You know what happens? You know what happens, folks. I've told you. What happens? Can you think of something? Right? If China and Japan go to the toilet, what's gonna happen? Gold, says Mr. Abhishek Sharma. Correct. Let's move on, folks. Let's move on. Tejas has skipped the firepower demo. Another bad news for HAL. The accident happened, killed a dear pilot. Rest in peace. Right? they're not going to be ready for another 5 hour display because a lot of things are going to be sorted out when it comes to Tejas production. They're going to check it through and through. Not good news for HAL. And that I've written in the Thinkers Frequency Tracker, by the way. Let's move on, folks. Big Four facing demanding rules. Tax impacts, that's okay. Wonder Lab may buy Madison World for 1,000 crores. That's an advertising agency buy. Advertising agencies are going through severe consolidation. We've talked about this. Madison World is like a decades old player with established relationship. Wonder Lab is more of a, you know, platform kind of a play for buying and so on and so forth. Now it's gonna get bought and they're gonna work together. A lot of advertising agencies as a business, they've come together because of severe consolidation and the rise of performance marketing, which basically goes against their business model. But let's see what happens. By the way, WPP, the biggest advertising agency company of the world, which peaked in 1990 and now it's less than what it was in 1990. It's basically half of it or something of that sort. It has come out with Kantar, which is the market research company. Diversification, right? Let's move on. TV companies in trouble. We've talked enough about it. We won't repeat ourselves. Pay hikes at India Inc. likely 10%. That's cool. Indian employment story is cool. We've talked about that. Venezuelan oil is gonna come to India, obviously. Anthropic, I've told you about IBM play, COBOL play. By the way, IT's FY26 revenue set to grow 6%, right? AI services 10 to 12 billion dollars. So even though the market is fundamentally weak, the revenues are still coming in. That means there is a lag, right? As soon as these deals go out, that's when some hits could be seen. Let's move on, folks. Talent flow because of semiconductor needing domain experts in the country. So they're looking at training people. Let's move on. India is looking at capital recycling. They have a national monetization plan of 16.7 lakh crores. They're going to get 6 lakh crores by leasing national property and 10 lakh crore by monetizing. We've talked about this, right? After railways, the biggest land parcels were with HMT and they're going to monetize that. We've talked about that. Let's move forward, folks. RBI prevented the rupee going down from 91. We've talked about that as well. We've talked about banking liquidity. By the way, you remember in Adani Airport, the Navi Mumbai had a fight between the telco players and the airport guys because it was a no network zone. Now they asked for 90 crores from the telco guys to set up their towers and stuff like that, the signals to get accessed, and they didn't pay that. They felt it was wrong and so on and so forth, and Adani guys got somebody else to do the networking thing, right, with the whole Wi-Fi play. Now that particular problem is not going to happen with Jewar Airport because those guys are pretty sorted. They've said that we're going to have the Noida Airport. It's not going to have any problem. They've allowed the telcos. So that's what happens when things move proactively. Let's move forward, folks. Cafe norms are going to be enabling trading of fuel efficiency credits to meet stricter norms. So companies might just be able to trade credits amongst each other and then do a lot. They're also going to go away from zero carbon norms for electric vehicles. So electric vehicles are not going to get a free pass because they also generate, they draw power from somebody from now. For now, they're treated differently, but moving on with the CAFE 3, they're not going to be treated so favorably, which is also going to lead to a lot of good news for IC engines play in India. Let's move on, folks. Economy likely to grow 8.1% in Q3, says SBI report. Let's move on. We don't miss out on anything. We're so thorough, man. We're so thorough. I'm so proud of ourselves. Just 1 second, folks. What's the time like? 9:44. We're gonna get free in 7 to 10 minutes. Anil Ambani screwed, by the way. Hey, Bharti Airtel is investing 20,000 crores for scaling up the newly formed NBFC arm. Airtel Money, the payments play. They want to scale it. It's one of those plays of Airtel when their diversification efforts have finally come forward, right? We've talked a lot about Mr. Bharti Sunil Mittal's ambitions. The biggest regret he had when it came to Bharti Group was that it always stayed totally dependent on telco. He didn't want that. Like all Indian conglomerates, he wanted his bets to be hedged in a certain way. Seems like payments is gonna be doing that. So a lot of good news coming from Airtel, by the way. Right, 20,000 crores NBFC play, a lot of other investments as well. Let's move on. Aster DM Healthcare has big plans for India. Invest 2,300 crores in greenfield projects and acquisitions. Private capex is always a good news. Let's move on. We're talking about voice AI. Voice AI costs about 4 to 10 rupees per minute, and it's gonna be it could be brought down to 3 rupees if Indian models are worked out. Let's see how that particular thing happens. Data center industry moving fast to racks with megawatt power density. Right now, it's scaling up to 600 kilowatts. We are now over 100 kilowatts per rack, going up to 600 kilowatts per rack. And then we are going to be having 1 megawatts, says the Vertiv CEO. Right, let's move on. Data center is obviously a lot of news. Gilead is going to buy US biotech acrylics for 7.8 our cells for $7.8 billion. This happened, we've talked about this, right? So cancer treatment pipeline, it's a lot of actions happening when it comes to cancer treatments and acquisitions. Some key drugs are going to go out of patent when it comes to cancer, and that is going to lead to a lot of generics, and that is leading to a lot of private equity and mergers and acquisitions playing out. So speaking of mergers and acquisitions, the Paramount deal with Warner Brothers is still on, so they are going to consider Paramount. They're coming back to Paramount, asking them to revise their deal. It seems like Paramount is going to finally win this. Netflix is not going to happen. If Netflix ends up winning the play, the Warner Brothers play, everything is dead. Like theaters will die, essentially. So that's not cool. Somebody laughed on YouTube. Did I say something funny, folks? Let's move on. JSW Motors is going to come up with its first indigenous product soon. It was teased as a part of a channel partner's recruitment advertisement, says Mr. Ankur Pandit. We've been heavy on JSW. We've told you about JSW. There's a lot of good news coming in from JSW from all directions. So let's see what happens there. I'm very curious. Did I say something funny? I want to be funny intentionally. What I've noticed is that I'm mostly funny unintentionally. That is not nice. I want to be like Woody Allen, sir. Can make people laugh at will. Let's move on. Nexus Select Ranwal Enterprises develop 730,000 square feet mall near Mumbai. India is set to lead Asia Pacific office supply. 40% of region's new workspace coming from the country. Right? We've talked about this. The rot in cup syrup making. Quick commerce taking over organized retail. By the way, it came out that Zepto was going public. And while it went public, it's still losing 42 to 47% rupees per order. Holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit. Right? Anyway. It's basically losing 11 crore rupees a day or something of that sort. Or month. Something. Food delivery has grown a bit. Food delivery has basically reached that saturation play but still in December quarter, it beat the estimates and grown a little. So that's good news. Let's move on. Somebody on LinkedIn says nothing funny. Nothing funny. Okay. Zero emission tag. I've told you about that. Yeah, we've done that. We're doing well. We're doing well. We're almost there. There. Just 1 second, folks. I've told you about iPhone being the most valuable Indian export, which is ironic because it's not actually an Indian product, right? And neither it's made in India in the true sense because a lot of components that are being used to make iPhone are still coming from China. But yeah, it's India's most valuable shipment. Apple handsets exports were $23 billion. Smartphone category, top of the list, right, in FY24. So PLI makes total sense. Zepto needs to do something on the lines of noise to aid profitability. Instamart. Noise. Well, unfortunately, I have no idea about noise. I'd love to be educated on it. We'll read. Let's move on. Although I sincerely doubt that Instamart is doing anything to aid to profitability or even it's close to profitability. Instamart is pretty much in the toilet right now, because everything that's happening. Instamart is not safe at all. At all. Let's move on. Live stream. Monetization wrestles with moderation in live stream gray zones. So most of the money that ShareChat is making, companies like ShareChat are making, are basically the streaming revenue. And you know what streaming revenue is? It's basically pimping business. It's just cheap pimping stuff. Women, scantily clad, they're just, doing shady stuff. That's exactly what's happening. That's what making all the money for the so-called innovators of the Indian startup ecosystem. They were supposed to be the answer to Facebook. Now they're going to go public with this pimping thing. They're really trying to dress themselves as fiscally prudent now, the ShareChat guys. And as I've said in the past, ShareChat is the definitive bubble of Indian startup ecosystem. It's astounding how it's unbelievable. But streaming as a pimping play is happening a lot. You know what? I was just going through YouTube, the swipe up thing, and then I saw a video where a woman was just lying down, right? And the live was about her just, moving like this. So it was just a stroking motion was being simulated. That was horrible, man. That's basically porn, right? It's like a form of pornography, which is happening on streaming. So streaming is in that direction. She was getting a lot of views. I don't get so many views. Anyway, Mr. Abhishek Sharma says in quick commerce there could be only a few players, and right now Blinkit looks to be winner in long term. They can afford to burn backing from Zomato ecosystem. That's correct. Although Flipkart, Amazon, Reliance, and Tata, they are all thinking about this. So let's see how that particular thing plays out. For now, yes, Blinkit is at the top. Let's move on. Biosimilars innovation, Dr. Reddy's growth pill. Generics will remain core of companies' biz. India's ecosystem, essentially, the pharma manufacturing ecosystem has been a trading play, more or less, right? With generics ruling the roost. Now it's changing. Let's see how fast or it changes, if at all. If at all. Let's move on. Big Four is taking a lot of investment banking money. Indian arms of EY, PwC, stealing deals worth over $500 million that were earlier dominated by global investment banks, Avendus and stuff like that. Yeah, that's gonna happen. We've talked about that. Volkswagen eyeing multi-drive ahead of new emission rules. It's gonna change a lot. Streamers are shooting for satellite rights. That's okay. TV is in the toilet, right? Absolutely. So they're losing from all directions. Streamers are also buying satellite rights, bundling them, and so on and so forth. The TV advertising is falling apart. They're trying to pull the plug of piracy, right? Because the revenue pool is shrinking so fast that they're trying to address the problems that always existed. So when it's a sunrise industry, a lot of wrong happens, but you don't have time to attend to that because the thing is growing. Now TV is shrinking so fast, the linear TV play, that they're trying to come with news about how overseas piracy is happening of their particular signal. So that's what it's come to. Meanwhile, streamers gain. Mr. Ankur Pandit, right, reminds me of Mr. Raj Kundra's dubious bets. Raj Kundra. Oh my god. He is. Every time something wrong happens, he's somewhere related to that, right? There's an Instagram meme on him, and comments were like, "सांस लेता हूँ और इनका कोई नया scam बाहर आ जाता है." It was funny. Let's move on, folks. क्या फायदा है यार ऐसे पैसे का पिंपिंग करके. Anyway, let's move on. Desilting at J&K's Salal Dam happening. Desilting is an exercise where you take out the sediments. They've basically reduced the capacity to 14 from 284 MCM, right? Desilting is very, very important on Chenab. Let's see. Let's move on, folks. I don't want to miss out on anything. There were some troubles for exporters because of the tariff play, but it's all sorted out. Let's move on. Corporate travel on upswing in the country. Shouldn't surprise anybody. Two-wheeler market could grow 8 to 9% in the long term. TVS, by the way, has done well. Let's look at TVS stock, folks. Stock has done really well. We missed out on TVS, by the way. 6 months, 21%. 1 year, 68%. Oh my god. 5 years, 563%. They've done exceedingly well. And they shouldn't stop, although the industry is pretty much, it seems saturated. Seems like a very mature play. But yeah, there is good management doing a lot of good things. Let's move on, folks. Two-wheelers. We are on Ather, right? Ather has done so well for us. So it's not like we missed out on the two-wheeler play. In fact, we caught the best of it. But yeah, TVS is also a good bet. Let's move on. India and Brazil have inked a minerals and rare earth deal, 20 billion trade over 5 years. They want to raise India's and Brazil's trading partnership, right? Obviously, 15 billion, increase of about a third from around 15 billion last year. So that is what's going on. Obviously, India tried its best to navigate the tariff situation, and one of the things was finding alternate markets and so on and so forth. That's obviously working out well for India. India really dealt well with the US tariff situation. It's beautiful how they really nailed it. Absolutely nailed it, right? And all of those things are gonna compound in times to come, because now they will have US and then they will have the rest of the world as well. I told you about sea shipping industry, waterways and so on and so forth, right? Seaplanes are also a new industry, right? Seaplanes is basically a bridge between shipbuilding, marine tech, and also airplanes. So it leads to both of the things going up at the same time. Let's move on, folks. That's cool. awesome, right? It's awesome. Mm-hmm. We've talked about this. I'm just seeing if I'm missing out on anything. Electronics makers shed flap to offset heavy chip prices. Yeah, yeah. Vedanta raising 350 million. Global banks. It's just that is sorted out pretty much. Mr. Rajnath Singh has asked Rafale jets to make the weapons in India as well, not just the planes but the weapons as well, which is awesome. Uh, right? So let's see how that plays out. Mr. Bhaviksha, right? And yet Shilpa Shetty remains in the spotlight with good things. Mr. Ankur Pandit, right? Shilpa Shetty had a squeaky clean image, but even that image has taken certain hit because of her husband. It's so weird, right? It's so weird. I mean, it's not like she could have been. Now, let's not gossip. I'll try to avoid gossip, but I'm just very disillusioned with the whole, with this. It's so disgraceful, man. It's so weird and disgraceful. And obviously there must be collusion, right? It can't be that somebody's business activities are totally away from your value system and somehow it's all working out. It's just too good to be true. But anyway, let's move on, folks. Chrysler making Novartis. Chrysler cap, open offer for Novartis. Foreign companies, foreign shows, online betting apps are looking at foreign business. Now, this is an interesting legal case. India banned online betting, right? So, if it banned online betting, how would it be legal for Indian companies to serve online betting outside the country? Because that's not legal, right? If there's a particular activity is banned in India, it cannot be exporting that service outside the country, right? That would be wrong. But what if it just exported the tech of it, right? All these companies which had been running tech operations, successful tech operations related to betting, what if they exported that service? That is exactly what the legal debate is on right now. They are basically seeking clarity on how they can structure these overseas deal, if they can do that at all, and so that the you know whole thing can be salvaged a little, the situation. Let's move on, folks. Starbucks is not slowing down in India. It says we're gonna be going heavy. Yeah. Factory outputs 3-month high, core output 4% ease, right? Indian macro looking good. We've talked about that. PLI disbursements okay. And with that, we come to the end of the 209th episode of Thinker's Frequency, folks. Our weekly mental workout, our weekly dose of insights and analysis that don't lead to paralysis right before we punch in. We've not missed out anything. We're pretty solid. We are very tight. And our predictions are turning out to be beautiful. We are making great progress as thinkers, all of us, right? Let's keep building on this. Drop comments on the whole Thinker's Frequency tracker. Pour your suggestions. Mr. Bhaviksha was very nice to drop comments. You do as well. And we will see you next week, hopefully. Same time, same place. Right? Please take care. Have a beautiful week. I should thank Mr. Ankur Pandit, Mr. Deepak Gurram, Mr. Bhavik Shah, Mr. Abhishek Sharma, Mr. Sumukh, Mr. Tushar Tiwari, Mr. Peeyush Sethi, and everybody else who joined. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something. I definitely had a lot of fun. I learned a lot. It was really nice. See you again. Take care. Bye-bye.